come on in because yes, I am back. I'm back real quick before I fly out of here tomorrow for my vacation. Cause y'all let me know that I missed a whole episode of Somebody's Son. Who knew that they dropped 2 episodes in one day? Why they do that, y'all? Why they do that? Have the ratings not been good and they just trying to get this over with real quickly? I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I missed a whole episode. Thank you to everyone who let me know I missed the episode. So I did go back and catch, and I said, let me just slide on in here real quick and do a quick little recap review because I do got something to say. I really do. First of all, Miss Charlize, girl. Miss Charlize, that was some nasty work, girl. That was some nasty work you did on Alysia. It's an unfair fight, girl. You got to be at least, I don't know, how old is Miss Alysia? She got to be in her 50s. She's in her 50s. Alysia is a 26-year-old woman. And the way that Miss Charlize beat up Alysia with the Bible, she beat her down with that Bible, I tell you, and all that judgment. It was some nasty work, Miss Charlize. It really was. But let me tell you, it was also some nasty work done by her son, James. Oh, let me talk to the mamas out there. Now, we know that what Miss Charlize did was wrong. It was wrong. It was some nasty work. She shouldn't have done it. But what I want to know is, how would y'all feel if your son chastised you the way that James did publicly in front of a woman that he just met a week ago? Even if you were wrong, even if what you did was wrong, doesn't mean that you don't need to be chastised or your son shouldn't have the ability to speak up to you. I think he should. But the way he did it, how he did it, and when he did it, some nasty work. So let me tell you something. James might have thought that he was doing something good by being the hero to Alysia, but all that showed me, James, was that you were willing to try to look good in front of Alysia at the expense of your mama and throw your mama under the bus. I tell you, I mean, you know, come on now, mamas out there. Plenty of times your kids have done wrong. Plenty of times you have done wrong. But one thing I really believe in is public praise and private criticism, or a private correction, whichever, constructive criticism. So did Miss Charlize need some correcting? She did, because it was some nasty work. But the way that James decided to show up as the hero for Alysia and throw his mama under the bus the way that he did, that's some nasty work too. I ain't gonna lie. Oh my God, so much nasty work going on. Bravo to Lauren for saying goodbye. Let's give her a hand clap. Bravo, Lauren. Bravo, Lauren. I said last week, if Lauren is the woman who she says she is, then when she finds out that Jasmine and Chad have been knocking boots, she will dismiss herself. And I had to wait and I had to see, is she the one that's going to be who she says she is? And guess what? She was. Lauren was the woman she said she was, and she said a goodbye, good to her. But when Lauren said, I don't think that there is a woman here who wants to be what Chad said he was looking for, which is a woman who's willing to be at home, cooking and cleaning, waiting for him to come home, can't make more money than him. He's going to be the leader, protector, provider, tell you when to dance, tell you when to stop dancing, tell you when to be quiet. And Lauren says, I don't think there's a woman like that at this table. And I said, Lauren, be careful, girl. Just speak for yourself, Lauren. Just speak for yourself, because you really never know who people are until the moment comes for them to show you who they are. And then you see who they are. And what we found out was Lauren thought that these other ladies weren't those women, but they are. Because we look at Jasmine. Jasmine is willing to be the emotional support dog for Chad. And then we saw Miss Paige, Miss Paige, girl. Miss Paige. When Lauren got up and walked out that room, Paige should have followed right behind her. She should have said, wait up, girl. Do you got any extra room in the Uber XL? Because I'm going with you. I'm leaving too. But Paige sat up there and decided that she was willing to stay in her competition. Remember I was telling you, be careful what you're trying to win. See, this is the part where I talk about how competitiveness can work against you. Because competitive people, what they can sometimes do is they can focus too much on the competition, right? The idea of the competition, the idea of winning. They're not really figuring out what they lose in their winning. Same thing with Jasmine. Jasmine's competitive. And Jasmine was willing to do what she did to win Chad. Just like Chad said, somebody got to win. Somebody got to win as if he's such a great prize. Well, what if the prize ain't a prize at all? And now this person has made you believe that you're really about to win a prize, but you're not. But because in your mind, you're so competitive and you don't like to lose. You don't like to lose. You stay in fights. You fight for people who aren't worth fighting for. Jasmine is willing to lay up in the bed with Chad. He's not a prize. Paige, who I said before, also has a streak of competitiveness in her, is willing to stay in this competition for Chad, even though Chad has admitted he's already slept with Jasmine. Okay? For 2 nights. Why are you still here, Paige? For the competition? To win what? What's going to be your love story, Paige? What's going to be, let's say you win Chad. 5 years down the road, people say, oh, you and Chad are together. Girl, how'd y'all get together? Well, the way we got together was we was on this show and Chad was sleeping with this other woman on the show. But I was like, ooh, I'm going to win him over. I'm going to win him over. I'm going to win him over. And then I won him over and I stole him away from the Jasmine who had been sleeping with him for 2 nights. What kind of love story is that? Also, you can say that you won what? I'm telling you, everybody better check themselves on this competitiveness of winning anyone, winning a woman, winning a man. When is there really a prize at the end? Or is this all about you being able to say that you won? You see, a lot of times people are justifying their actions for other reasons, but in the reality, their actions are self-serving. They're self-serving. Just like I said with James. James can come off like he was really protecting the feelings of Alysia, that was what was most important. But I know it's not. I know it's not. James just wants what he wants. It's almost like Alysia is a possession and he wants it. He wants the possession. He's not even really looking at her as a person. He's just fighting for what he wants. He's not necessarily fighting for her. And what he was willing to do was even throw his own mother under the bus to get what he wants. It's like a temper tantrum. Alysia is just a toy that he wants to play with. He knows that Alysia doesn't have any long-term possibilities in his life because what he also knows is he's not going to want a lifetime of this, of going up against his mother with Alysia. But he wants the shiny toy right now. And he's crying and falling out in the store for this toy. And then what we know is going to happen is just like any shiny toy, after the newness wears off, the novelty wears off, he's not even going to want Alysia anymore because Alysia is not even going to fit into his everyday life. Alysia ain't no pushover. She is absolutely not no pushover. The way that she stood up to Miss Chariss, I have to commend her. For a young woman at 20-something years old to be able to have that much fortitude to try to stand up to Miss Chariss, who's twice her age, I thought it was commendable. And she tried to do it very respectfully. She really did. She did her best. Now, did it work? No, it didn't work. It didn't work because she's just dealing with a woman who's twice her age. That woman just has too much more experience being able to handle a 20-something-year-old woman. So Alysia had no shot. She was a little bit emboldened. Alysia had a little bit more emboldenedness to her because of what James did. James emboldened her by saying, ooh, I guess I can go up against his mama because James just went up against his mama. So I guess I can go up against her too. And I'm going to tell you right now, Miss Charlize was hotter than fish grease. We probably didn't see it, but I'm pretty sure Miss Charlize lit into her son, James, off camera and probably said something to him like, don't you ever, come on, mamas. I'm pretty sure after them cameras start rolling, Miss Charlize went to James and said, don't you ever, ever do that again. Because I saw it all over her face. If we believe that Miss Charlize didn't have any words for her son, I don't believe it. She had some. She had some behind closed doors, which is where it should have taken place, and not in front of the cameras. She had it where she needed to have it. She was wrong. It was some dirty work. And oh my goodness, before I play my introduction video, what was that scene coming up next with Tamara's? Tamara's girl, don't you tell me that after you find out that Joshua's an NFL player, all of a sudden the shy Tamaris is gone. And now we got the thought Tamaris climbing in the bed with Joshua. Is that the scene we just saw? Are we seeing another woman willing to put her body on the line for some money? Is that what we're about to see again, y'all? Another woman doing it? Haven't we learned anything from the P. Diddy trial? Haven't we learned anything from the P. Diddy trial? And if the previews come to be true, Joshua will not be choosing Tamaris, because what we know is one of the biggest fears of Joshua is trusting that a woman just wants to be with him for him and not his money. And if he is finally seeing this interest that he wanted to see from Tamaris after he reveals to her that he's a professional football player, he will not trust it. Now, will he sleep with her? He may. He absolutely may do it. But will he choose her in the end? I don't think so. This is how these women get got by these men, because some of these women really believe they're getting over on these men. Like, men are just so dumb. Like, the men can't see through them. But a lot of men see through them. And what the men are willing to do is, you think you about to get me? I'm going to get you, girl. I'm going to make you work so hard for this money. I'm going to make you do all kind of things to get this money. And just when you think you got it, just when you think you got my money, I'm going to do something else. I've been watching this Porsha Williams debacle going on. And I know everybody out here is talking about how Porsha Williams is getting Simon Guobadia. Did I say his name right? Please. No, she ain't. She ain't getting Simon. Simon is a scammer all by himself. Who's the biggest scammer? Please. Porsha Williams and Simon Guobadia are big scammers. Porsha Williams' first scam was on her husband, Cordell Stewart. Yeah, I said it. I know a lot of people think Cordell got the best of Porsha. No, that's not what was going on. Porsha was only married to Cordell Stewart for 2 years. 2 years. Cordell Stewart was a whole football player for many years in the league. Hall of Famer, everything. Tons of money. Porsha came into the marriage with nothing. She married him for 2 years. Then after they were married, she went on Real Housewives of Atlanta, was making $800,000 a year. And she still felt she should get alimony and assets from Cordell Stewart for what he owned prior to them being married for 2 years. And Porsha Williams would run around talking about she was a victim. No, Porsha Williams didn't file for divorce from Cordell Stewart. He filed from her because what he realized was he knew who she was. He knew it when he married her, actually. But what he knew was that he was going to be able to control her because at that time, Porsha didn't have any money. You see what I'm saying? Men will make these women work for their money. And what Cordell was able to do was to control Porsha because Porsha wanted what Cordell had, which was his money. But once Porsha started making her own $800,000 a year, what she started to say was, Cordell, you can't control me no more because I got my own money. And Cordell said, that's fine. Then we can get divorced because the only reason I was with you was because I want you to do what I wanted to do. You was only with me for my money, Porsha. So was Porsha a victim of Cordell? No, she wasn't. She wasn't a victim of Cordell. She wasn't a victim of her child's father. What's his name? Dennis. And she ain't a victim of Simon Gobadia. Porsha knew exactly what she was doing, but she calculated wrong because she thinks she's going to get $40,000 a month from Simon in Nigeria. She ain't going to get that money. And I don't want to hear no more from Porsha talking about how she stood up and paid child support to Simon's children while he was detained. Girl, you basically scammed Bravo and told Bravo that you would deliver a whole season of interesting content between you and Simon, even though you knew you and Simon were about to break up. So you scammed Bravo to pay you whatever millions they're paying you. After that, you said, so what, Bravo, screw you. I'm going to now get divorced from Simon Gobadia because he's a scammer. Okay, he's a scammer. So you mean to tell me, Porsha, that you knew that he's a scammer, but you had enough wherewithal to get a prenup in place to pay you $40,000 a month and also get access to a house he owned prior to you being married. And you want to tell me that at no point in time did you ever try to discover how Simon made all that money? So you mean to tell me that your lawyers had enough wherewithal to negotiate you a $40,000 a month alimony check, but they didn't have enough wherewithal to figure out where Simon was making all that money from? And now we say it was all a big scam. He got illegal businesses. I don't believe it, Porsha. I don't believe it. And I don't want to hear how you were paying child support to his children when you were occupying a house that he owned prior to marriage, and you were about to use that house to film an entire season of Real Housewives of Atlanta and make millions of dollars a year from filming in the house. So technically, even if you had rights to the house half and half, that would mean that the money you were making off the house to film the show, that money, because he was in ICE custody, should go to his children. So you giving them a couple of thousand, whatever you gave them, $10,000 for child support when you are occupying a house that they technically should be getting money from because you are using it to conduct a business, and you think you're the hero? Let me tell you something. I keep telling you all, you better figure out in this world who are the takers, because a lot of takers out here masquerade as if they doing something from someone else. But really, what their real underlying motivation is something for themselves. I'm going to bring this back to somebody's son. I know I went off on a tangent. I really know I went off a tangent. So let me go ahead after this long intro. How long did I just have an intro for? 20 minutes? I don't know. I got to play my introduction video. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and I see you come on right back here so we can talk about the rest of this somebody's son. See you in a minute. So anyway, we back, y'all. We talking about this episode where it started off with creeping Lauren catching Chad in the bed with Jasmine. And, Jasmine, she's something else. She's competitive, y'all. We're going to get to all this fake crying she was doing afterwards. But even when Lauren came to the room, I thought Jasmine was going to say, you can't come in, girl. I don't need you to see it. But At some point in time, Jasmine just let Lauren come on in and see everything. Almost as if she wanted Lauren to see what had happened. Almost as if Jasmine was trying to, in some way, low-key rub it in the face of Lauren, because like Jasmine said, I replace. But they showed this little conversation between Miss Katina and her son. And Miss Katina told her son, you know what, you almost made me want to pull out my belt. Girl, Miss Katina, y'all don't have no relationship like that. You really don't. And she also said that what she saw of her son the night before was appalling. And she told him that you're going to have to learn to be nice to ladies and don't be trying to control people on how they have fun, do whatever else. And maybe Miss Katina had to send her son off to be raised by that father, but not quite sure what that father taught him, because I see Chad struggling a lot to be a gentleman to the ladies. I do. Even when they go out, Chad oftentimes struggles with even knowing automatically to let a woman walk through the door first. I see him sometimes about to do it himself, and then he catches himself. It doesn't come natural to him. I think Chad hasn't grown up with a whole lot of healthy respect for women, I'm going to be honest. And I think a lot of it does center around the relationship with his mother, because like I said before, I think he I don't even want to call it low key. I think he resents his mother. I don't think he has as much respect for his mother as he should. And I just don't like it. I don't like his attitude towards his mother, Katina, or his attitude towards women in general. And, he said, well, hey, first of all, I just want to let you know, not only did I blow up in this dinner last night, mama, I also spent the night with Jazz a couple of nights. And now he's wondering how he can get out of it. So let me get this right, Chad. You blow up on the women and show your whole ass at dinner last night, or a little social last night. Then you drop on your mama that I also been sleeping in the bed with Jasmine the last couple of nights. And now what you want your mama to do is help you figure out how to get back into the graces of all these women. And then he said, you know what? I am still interested in Lauren because she showed interest. I told you how thirsty Chad is for the approval of people. And all of a sudden now he thinks he got a shot at Lauren, all because Lauren showed interest to him. That was before she knew what a dweeb you were. He always worried about the ladies who wants him. But Miss Katina said it right. Chad messed up. And what Chad wasn't doing was he wasn't thinking about the consequences of what he was doing. And now he got caught up in the moment. He wasn't thinking about the consequences. He was just thinking about how to please himself, how to do something in the moment that is best for him. That's what he was doing. And that's what I keep telling people all the time. Every time you want to give a person credit for doing something nice, you better make sure that they're doing it out of goodness, and not that they're doing it because secretly, or sometimes not even secretly, they're getting something out of the deal. Doesn't mean you can't be appreciative of when someone does something for you, but you better learn people's motivations, because if you don't learn people's motivations, you could always be misclassifying people. And then there becomes a day of reckoning. And the day of reckoning comes when you thought that person was for you, but you realize all this time they were never doing it for you. They were doing it for yourself. And in that moment, when you really needed them to be there for you, they're nowhere around. Nowhere around. And you wonder, why are they nowhere around when before you felt that they were? Well, before they were only around because somewhere in there was something that they were really getting out of the deal. And now that it's not there, they have no incentive to help you. No incentive to help you. You better really figure it out. And Chad is one of those people. He's one of those people that whatever he does do that is nice or could be looked at as nice, it's only because he wants something out of the deal. And as long as you're feeding him and giving him exactly what he wants, you won't have no problem. But the minute you decide to choose something for yourself that may not be in agreement with you, Chad won't be there for you. He won't be there at all. And then Lauren says she's going to tell Paige how they were both blindsided. And the next thing you know, this is when you see this tender, wounded part of Paige show up. She starts to cry. She starts to feel betrayed by Chad. And this is the first time we're seeing sort of this vulnerable side of Paige. We didn't see much of it before. And this is why I say, even this vulnerable side we're seeing in Paige is a vulnerability because what she feels is she feels hurt. She feels hurt. And I don't even know if the real source of her hurt is. It looks as if the real source of her hurt is what Jasmine did to Paige. I think we're going to see later on that she may be hurt by Chad, but she's even angry with Chad. But in a lot of ways, I feel like she put more trust in Jasmine, even though she knew that they were so-called in a competition. You see, this is what keeps Paige in like this cycle. A lot of people who are afraid to show vulnerability, they're afraid to show vulnerability because what they believe is that when I show vulnerability, that opens me up to being hurt. So sometimes what Paige does, I believe, is that she associates being hurt by men. So with men, she won't show that much vulnerability at first because what she wants to do is she wants to protect herself. But then when it comes to friendships with women, she may not feel as if she has to protect herself as much. So she's willing to be more vulnerable with women in the beginning. But here again is where we are. Guess who just hurt her? A woman. A woman. You see, a lot of women tell me that I'm male identified. And I always tell them over and over again, I'm not male identified. I just look at men and women equally, that they both have the ability to do dirty work out here. Both. So I don't put blinders on the women and I don't put blinders on the men. And what a lot of people get upset with me about is that I don't give women a pass and I don't give men a pass either. I call them both out. But a lot of women are really, really comfortable with giving women a pass and holding men accountable, you see? And as a result, a lot of women, a lot of source of their pain and hurt is actually starting to come at the hands of other women, because women got to learn to stop being gender biased. Don't be gender biased. Just call a spade, call a user a user. And the minute you start not practicing gender bias, racial bias, any type of bias, then the sooner you will be able to learn how to protect yourself and how to identify people out here who are really not for you, and for you not to start trying to believe they are for you, and instead focus on finding people who are for you. For Paige to get hurt by Jasmine when they are in the middle of a competition tells me that Paige has problems with discernment. You see, Lauren wasn't hurt by Jasmine. What Lauren said was, girl, do you. Do you. I see what you're doing. If that's the game you want to play, then good luck to you. I don't have no animosity to you. If that's what you're willing to do in order to win the game, peace out. Y'all can have it. I bow out. I don't need to win this competition. I really don't need to do it. But Paige, on the other hand, she's walking around protecting herself from men, leaving herself vulnerable to women, which tells me, Paige, you got to learn how to discover and find the wolf who's in any type of clothing. Like what they say, wolf in sheep's clothing. You better learn how to find them, no matter if they got a penis or a vagina. You better learn. Because Jasmine got up in here and she started crying in front of these ladies, trying to get some sympathy and empathy, talking about why your eyes so puffy. Lauren said, why are your eyes puffy, girl? You the one that out here did the damn thing. Why are your eyes puffy? Because Jasmine did what a lot of people do when they've been caught red-handed. They cry. They cry to start and make you feel as if they're the victim. And what Jasmine said was, you know what? I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt people, but I also want to win. And winning for me is more important than hurting you. Okay, girl. Okay, girl. If that's the way you roll, that's the way you roll. Paige says she can't figure out if they are competitive or if they're comrades. Girl, you are competitors. Why can't you figure it out, Paige? What's unclear here? So when Miss Katina finds out she only going to be able to keep 2 women and 1 woman is going to have to be eliminated, Chad decides, let me go out here and try to keep this situation together. Let me go back out here and talk to these women. And he goes on back there. He goes out there to talk to Lauren and Paige and try to make sure that Lauren is still in the game. And he's got to choose who to talk to first, Lauren or Paige. And what he decides to do is, I'm going to talk to Paige first because I already know I can win her over. And then I'll save the tough cookie Lauren for last. You see, Chad already summed up Paige. He already knew he didn't want Paige. He told his mama, you can send Paige home. I don't even want her. But then when he went out there, what did he do? He tried to smooth it over with Paige so she would want to stay. Like I said, looking out for himself. Looking out for himself. He already knew he did not want Paige. When his mama asked him, who do you want me to eliminate? He said, you can send Paige home. But we went out there to apologize. What he tried to do was assure and reassure Paige so that she would stay in the competition. That's some dirty work. That is some dirty work. They rolled back the clip to show that Paige was over there trying to console Chad and give him a hug. He pushed her away and told her, I don't need all that. I don't need none of that. But yet, Paige is still here. She's still here. He didn't show her any interest. He barely want to date her. He don't give her no attention. He tells her, you know what, why you give me a high five and not hug me? She tries to hug him. He pushes her away. Right? He pushes her away and tells her, I don't need none of that. She tells him, she goes on to tell him about himself, about how she's big on reciprocation, but she ain't received no reciprocal action whatsoever. And then in the end, she still stays. What's the point, Paige? What's the point of this? Of drawing all these boundaries if you're not going to do nothing? What's the point? But she told that man, we may not have much. This may not have been a good start, but we can build upon this. Girl, you can't build upon no cracked foundation. This foundation is cracked and crumbled. This is no foundation you want to build upon, Jasmine. This cannot be your love story, Paige. This cannot be your love story. You cannot build upon a broken foundation. And this foundation is crumbled, broken. It's like gravel, girl. You can't build no house on gravel. You really can't. But when he got over there to Lauren, Lauren said, listen, young man, let me school you on something. Lauren was momming Chad up and down, but I wasn't mad at her. And Chad was trying to talk about he's still interested in her. And Lauren said, you still interested in me? She's like, how the heck are you still interested in me? But you just been laying up in another woman's bed for 2 days, disrespecting everybody else up in this house. But somehow or another, I should be flattered by this? Absolutely not. Don't be flattered by that no man who disrespects other women publicly in your face, but then comes around and says, but I respect you. No, he's only respecting you or trying to tell you that because he still wants something from you. And what he wanted from Lauren was her to stay in the game. That's what he wanted. He wanted both Paige and Lauren to stay on the television show, to keep competing for him, even though he ain't worth a damn. But Miss Katina called it right. She said Chad can't clean this up. Chad said ain't no way in hell he gonna be able to clean up this mess. This mess is so bad that you can't use no mop, no bounty paper towels, nothing. Nothing can clean this up, Chad. You gonna just have to take your licking and maybe you can learn from it. But at this point in time, I don't even know if he gonna learn from it. So before Miss Katina could even eliminate a person, Miss Lauren stood up and said, let me save y'all some trouble. Let me save you some trouble. And she said, I choose myself. I choose myself. There ain't gonna be no do-overs here with me. I've seen enough. I have enough validation. And I know how to walk away from something when it's time to walk away. And I'm walking away. And Miss Katina looked at Lauren and said, girl, I commend you. Because even though this is my son standing here right next to me, you doing what any good woman should do. And she said, I commend you for your courage. And she said, I commend you for encouraging me as well. Because like I said before, I think Katina liked Lauren the best because I think probably they're very much more in alignment with their own thinking. And I think Miss Katina saw in Lauren that she made the decision that I too would make if I were in her shoes. And then I sat over there watching this show and I looked at Paige and I thought, girl, ain't you going to? Aren't you going to? But no, she sat up there with some tears in her eyes as if what? She was crying for Lauren going home, but she's still willing to compete. Paige, girl, you need to go home. You need to do some rethinking on what happened here. You really do. But with all that foolishness going on, it was not the end of the foolishness because then we got to see more in the episode between James and Miss Charlize. And James opened up right away talking bad about Brayvon. Boy, why are you talking bad about Brayvon? Brayvon has not done anything to you. Brayvon is gone. And now he says, now there is a lightness in the room and we ain't got to worry about Brayvon no more. Woo, 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 woo. I told you. Let me tell you something about James's family and Miss Charlize. They definitely snooty. They're definitely snooty and stuck up. And honestly, I think actually Sabernet would fit very well in James's family. I really believe they're a lot alike. James and his family, I'm pretty sure James, if he got any sisters, I don't want to say nothing. Let me shut my mouth. But I'm pretty sure there is this part about the way they sort of walk through the world is be one way in public, but behind closed doors, you can be a different way. You can have sort of this judgment. And James is like a fake Christian. This is why he doesn't really have that much problem with Alysia and her beliefs, because in a lot of ways, just like Brayvon says, I don't see you at church. James be lying. He don't be going to church. He tell his mama he go. But he don't be going to church. And he's not as into the word of God as he tries to say he is. A lot of it's for show. And it was no really need to throw Brayvon under the bus like that. She's gone. And she's been gone for a while. So I'm not even sure why her name was brought up. But anyway, Miss Sabernet says, you know, now that it's down to me and Alysia, I'm going to have to bring my more flirtatious side out. And so this is what I'm going to say about Sabernet. And it's not that I don't like Sabernet. I still like Sabernet. But this good girl act Sabernet is playing, that's fine. It's okay because she's got a strategy. And I'm okay with her strategy. Her strategy is to do two things. One is she's got to win over the conservative mother, but she's also got to win over the son who wants a more risque life and a more exciting life. So what Sabernet says is, I got the mama in the bag, because the reason I got the mama in the bag is because we already got rid of Brayvon. And now all I know is I have to go up against Alysia, who is considered the thought over there. The thought over there. So the only way I got to appeal to the mama is to mention God and family. and I got her in the bag. And I have to be a proper woman, do all the right things, use the correct grammar, curtsy, use the correct fork, use all the correct grammar, and I'm gonna win that mama over. Now she's saying, now I need to work on this son. And what this son is going to need is he's going to need to be able to know that I can be a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets. So I'm going to have to break out the dress, the cute little short dress and the heels. Like I said, I'm not mad at Sabernet because she has a strategy to do what she wants to get done, which is great. And so far, what I haven't seen through Sabernet is I haven't seen her trying to sabotage Alysia or say anything negative about Alysia nor Bravon in order for her to get advantage. So that's why I'm cool with her. If I see her doing nasty work to win a man, then I'm going to be done. That's when I'm going to be done. But so far, I have not seen that from Sabernet. And I like that about her. Because what Sabernet is realizing is, I don't really need to do nasty work on Alysia because Mama Chariss is doing all the work herself, all by herself. Now, what Sabernet should be giving a little pause on is watching this man, James, be willing to throw his mama under the bus in order to stand up for Alysia. A Sabernet need to look at that because either way you slice it, if I'm Sabernet, I'm not quite liking it. Because if I think of you as you're just standing up for Alysia, I'm thinking, wow, you like this girl so much that you're willing to throw your own mother under the bus? That's making me pause. That's kind of turning me off. Then the second thing I'm thinking of is this the way you handle a loved one when you believe the loved one was wrong in public? Do you publicly chastise them this way versus privately? And I'm not liking that either, because are you always going to agree with your husband? No. And will there be some times when maybe you've done something that you shouldn't have done? You didn't handle it the right way, but you also in a lot of ways are feeling a certain kind of way. Would you want your husband coming to the aid of a complete stranger or a person he barely knows over you and you're supposed to be his wife? Nah, you wouldn't want that. So Sabernet needs to try to figure out whether or not this is the person she even wants. Because like I said, James is not here for Sabernet because I don't even think that he really completely wants Sabernet. He wants Alysia. And part of me believes that will he just choose Sabernet to appease his mother? Or is he now at the point where he wants to prove to his mother, I'm here to make decisions for myself and you're not going to control me? And I believe that's what he's going to choose. Do I believe that James will choose Sabernet? I don't. Because I think what James will think of is if I choose Sabernet, I'm just doing what my mother wants me to do. I'm not really doing what I want to do. Because if he was willing to throw his mother on the bus like that in public, I think he's willing to choose Alysia. I really do. Like I said before, I'm no psychic. I'm not God. I don't know what's going to happen. But as much as that mother has expressed her unacceptance of Alysia, will that be enough to make James say no to Alysia and yes to Sabernet? I don't think so, because the mother has said already that she has spent a lot of years chasing away, what does she call them? Less desirables, or she had a derogatory name for the ladies. So the mother has been here before. She has been here trying to shoo away women that she didn't want her son to be with. But listen, in order to have to be in the position to shoo them away, he had to have chosen them in the first place. And James is trying to send a message to his mother. James is actually rebelling against his mother every time he chooses these women, even though it is even against his own best interest. You see what I'm saying? James is choosing women that really he doesn't even pair with well at all. He doesn't pair well with Alysia. But at this point in time, it's almost as if James would rather prove his mother wrong or defy his mother just to prove his own point that he's independent and he can make his own decisions. So he's willing to do something over here to get something over here. Like I said, is James really choosing Alysia for him all the way? Or is he also choosing Alysia because it's also a way to send a message to his mama that I can do what I want to do? Something to think about. And Sabernet, are you just caught in the middle? Are you just caught in the middle of this battle between a mother and a son? You see, we've been talking about it over there with Katina and her son. Is Sabernet, are you just caught in the middle? And do you want to be a pawn in the game of James? I don't think you do, Sabernet. I really don't think you want to be one. Even after Sabernet won the competition of whose values align better, he chose her for the date, and he took her out. And James ain't got no game. He really, like I said, James was the nerd back in school days. He had braces. I'm pretty sure he had braces. He was probably goofy. He probably was lanky. Then, he might have had pimples all over his face. I don't know. And now he's the guy out here trying to act like he's cool and get all the hot women like Alysia. And he's a fish out of water. Because when he was sitting on that bench with Sabernet in the butterfly farm, he didn't make one move on her. She's sending him all kind of signals that she's open to a kiss, a handhold, a touch, a gesture, something. And he's just clueless. And when she finally said, hey, do you kiss on the first date? I mean, what bigger clue can you get? He's, oh, are you asking me for a kiss? I mean, God damn. What do you think she's asking for? And why she got to ask for it like this? Why she got to beg like this? So, Sabernet, you got to beg for a kiss. And James is willing to go battle with his mama over Alysia. Girl, you ought to fly away like that butterfly farm y'all was in. Fly away, Sabernet, fly away. Although I like your game plan is not worth executing on this man, James. That's what I'm going to have to say. Good game plan, girl. Good game plan, but he ain't worth it. He is not worth it. But even after Miss Charlize went on Alysia and told her, your mama's your God. Girl, that was so below the belt. Talking about hitting below the belt, she cut her down. I don't even want to say at the knees, at the ankles. Girl, Miss Charlize, that was too much. Way too much. But James stepped in and said, you didn't uphold the pack, mama. You said you was going to give these ladies a fair chance. You didn't. And later on, Alysia says, I want to write it down in the letter because I want to make sure that whatever words come out my mouth to Miss Charlize, that I convey my message and my thoughts, but I want to make sure it's done in a thoughtful, considerate way. And I thought she did a good job. I think what she did was she was able to express her emotions, her feelings, but she did it very respectfully. And I applaud her for that. But even though she was trying to be respectful and she kept her demeanor and she always kept her composure, Miss Charlize, boy, Miss Charlize was down in that gutter. Alysia said, you judged me over the way my entry walk was. You've judged me over my outfit, my makeup, my faith, my demeanor, my job, my makeup, my tattoos. You forgot money because remember she judged you over how much you spent on personal care. She did judge you over that too. And Miss Charlize, instead of saying, I'm sorry, I should have done that, she said, tattoos, you got tattoos? And Miss Charlize said, oh, I forgot that one. You're right. I'm going to judge you on that too. Girl, Miss Charlize, girl, that's some dirty work. Miss Charlize has been here before plenty of times. Plenty of times. Miss Charlize is like, I done gone up against women like you plenty of times. Plenty of times. When I was a young girl, I had to go up against women like you, Miss Alysia. You were my competition when I was a young woman. And now, back then, you tried to steal men from me before I was married. And now I see you here, because I used to be in the modeling world too. Remember Miss Charlize told us she was in the modeling world? She's used to women, competing with women. And now what Miss Charlize said is, now I'm competing for my son with you. Oh, hell to the no. Hell to the no. I'm going to take you down. I am going to take you all the way down. And she didn't let up. She put them stilettos or kitten heels or whatever you want to call them on the neck of Alysia, and she didn't let up. In the end, did they make up? No, they didn't make up. They just going to have to agree to disagree. Ain't no way Miss Charlize is ever going to apologize to Alysia. She ain't going to never like Alysia. And ain't no way James is ever going to be able to bring Alysia to his mama's house. I can tell you that right now. Ain't no way. It is not going to happen. So if James chooses Alysia at the end of this season, he going to choose her. And she going to never be invited to that house. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Miss Charlize said, I apologize if I offended you. Girl, we all know that's a horrible apology. And she goes, but at the end of the day, sweetheart, girl, sweetheart, come on, Miss Charlize. All this stuff is just, girl, this is too much. You're not fooling no one. You really not. And Miss Charlize says, I'm always misunderstood surrounding my bluntness. No, you're not misunderstood. That's why you blunt, because you don't want to be misunderstood. People who are blunt because I want to make it bluntly clear so that you don't misunderstand me. The reason why you are blunt is because you don't want to be misunderstood. So don't say you misunderstood due to your bluntness. No, that's why you blunt, because you want people to know. For real, for real. You really want them to know. And she said, when my son hurt, I hurt. But the problem is, Charlize, is your son ain't hurting. It's one thing to maybe you go up against Alysia if she hurt your son, and then you can go up and defend your son, but your son ain't hurting. So this idea that when my son hurts, I hurt, girl, he ain't hurting. He feeling good, real good. But she says, if I offended you, I apologize. And Alysia knew right away that was a weak apology. And at the end, Miss Charlize says, what else you need me to apologize for? What other lie you need to tell me? I need to tell you to your face to make you think I really care about you, sweetheart. Because I don't give a damn. I really don't give a damn. That's what Miss Charlize was saying. Goodness. But anyway, I'm going to be on vacation, y'all. I'm going to be on vacation. I hate that I'm going to miss Miss Tamaris's episodes of when she creeps in these beds. But best to believe, when I get back, I will be recapping, because I guess I'm going to have to be disappointed one more time in another person creeping in somebody's bed. Anyway, that's all I got, y'all. I will talk to you later. Bye.